What's going on? Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And in this video, I'm going to be doing a crazy long tier list video. NBA players 2021 and 22 tier list maker. Basically, we're going to be ranking a lot of players here. It looks like definitely over 100, maybe like 200 players here. In All NBA, All-Star, borderline All-Star, good starter, average starter, good role player, average role player, and end of the bench. This should be pretty exciting. I'm super excited. So I'm going to get into this. So first, Chris Paul. I'm going to put Chris Paul at that all-star tier. Or honestly, all NBA, I mean, he made it last year. But I'm going to keep him at all-star level. I probably won't go too in-depth on everything just because there's so many players here. Lou Williams, I'm going to do good role player. Montrezl Harrell, I'm going to do good role player. I'll do average starter. Or no, I'll do good starter for Harrell. Even though he's like a six-man type player, I think he's a good player. And DeLon Wright, I think is a good role player. D'Angelo Russell, I think, is a borderline all-star or good starter. I'm going to keep him at good starter, I think. Carlin, and make sure to leave your comments what you guys think down below. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be an all-star. Rashawn Holmes is going to be a good starter. Justice Winslow, I'm going to put as average role player. Kelly Oubre, I think, is a good starter. Devin Booker is going to go to all-star, I think, right now. Yeah, so no all-NBA yet. I could change it, though. Cameron Payne is going to go to good role player. Miles Turner is going to go, I think, to average starter. I think he's kind of average. That's just me. That could be a debatable one. Bobby Portis is going to go to average starter, even though he comes off the bench. Christian Wood, I think, is a borderline all-star. Or should I put him in all-star? Well, Terry Rozier, I'm going to put in borderline. And I think I'll keep Christian Wood there. And I think that good starter is for Norman Powell. Josh Richardson, I think, is an average starter. Larry Nance Jr., I think, is a good role player. Boban is just an average role player, in my opinion. Ben Simmons, I think, is borderline all-star right now. Just because things are not going his way right now. All-star, Domantas Sabonis. Malik Beasley. I'll put him in good starter. He's pretty good. He's been pretty good for Minnesota. Buddy Hield, I think, is a good starter. Brandon Ingram, I think he's all-star. I'm really high on Brandon Ingram. He's one of my Duke guys, so I like BI. Karis LeVert is going to go into borderline all-star for me. DeJounte Murray is going to be the same thing. Or is he going to be good starter? I'm going to put him in good starter right now, actually. Jamal Murray, he's going to be going into all-star tier for me. The West is stacked, so it's kind of tough to make the all-star game, but I'm going to put him there. Jakob Poeltl, I am going to put in good role player. Yeah, I think good role player's there. Jalen Brown's going to be an all-star for me. Pascal Siakam's going to be a borderline all-star for me. But last season, 2019 to 2020, I would put him as the borderline I would put him as an all-star. Juan Hernan-Gomez, I think, is a good role player. Ivica Zubac, I think he's an average starter. I believe that's Dorian Finney-Smith. Dorian Finney-Smith is I think he's a good role player. Fred VanVleet, borderline all-star. You know what? Or a good starter. That's tough. I think I'm going to keep him in borderline all-star. I think Bryn Forbes is a good role player. Alex Caruso, good role player. Markelle Fultz, good role player as of right now. Or, now he's going to go good starter, I think. I think he's good starter, but he got injured last season, and he was playing pretty well. So I think maybe not right now good starter. I'll put him in average, but I think he's going to be a good starter. Lonzo Ball, I think, is definitely a good starter. De'Aaron Fox, I think, is all-star. Jason Tatum is all-NBA, so there's our first all-NBA type player. Malik Monk is going to be not going to put him in average role player. I'm going to put him in good role player. Jonathan Isaac is going to go into good starter for me. Lowry Markkanen, I think, is an average starter, even though he'll probably be coming off the bench this year. Donovan Mitchell into all-star. Luke Kennard, I think, is a good role player. Or average role player. I think he's an average role player. So, no one at the end of the bench yet. John Collins, I think, is going to go into good starter. OG Anunoby, good starter. Jared Allen. This is tough between borderline all-star and good starter. I'm going to put him in good starter. I think Bam is at all-star level. Kyle Kuzma, I think, is just an average starter. Or no, I'm going to put him as a good role player. Same thing with Derek White. I think Dylan Brooks is an average good starter. And I'm going to put actually Derek White in average starter. Thomas Bryant, I think, is an average starter. Monte Morris, he comes off the bench, but I think he's a good role player. Chris Boucher, I'm going to do good role player. Daniel Tice, I'm going to say average role player. Grayson Allen, I think, is an average role player. Marvin Bagley, I think, is a good role player. Mo Bamba, I think, is kind of an average role player. Mikal Bridges, I think, is honestly either good starter or borderline all-star. I might put him in borderline right now because I think Mikal Bridges is I'm super high on him. Miles Bridges, I'm going to put in average starter. No, I'm going to put in good role player. Bruce Brown, I think, is a good role player. I like Bruce Brown a lot. Same thing with Jalen Brunson or average starter, but I'll put him in good role player. That's probably the one with the most right now, good role player. And then it's probably good start or borderline borderline all-star, and then good starter then all-star. All right, my bad. Wendell Carter Jr. I think is a good role player right now. I don't think he's anything more, or he could be an average starter. I'll put him in average starter. Hamidou Diallo, good role player. Dante DiVincenzo, I think he's a good starter. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going, I didn't mean I'm going to put him there, an all-star, even though he's never made an all-star game before. That's what I think, though. Devontae Graham, good starter. Kevin Huerter, good role player. We have a lot of those guys. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a good starter, I think. DeAnthony Melton is a good role player. Shake Milton, good role player. Just a bunch of solid guys. Just definitely just a bunch of solid guys here. We have Michael Porter Jr. I think I'm going to put him in all-star or borderline all-star. I think MPJ, I'm going to put him there. I think he's going to go an all-star for me right now. Mitchell Robinson. I'm going to put Mitchell Robinson in, I'm going to put him in average starter right now. Colin Sexton, I'm going to put him in good starter or I'm going to put him in borderline all-star because I think he could have had a really good case last year to make the all-star game. Here's a guy I like to talk about a lot. Gary Trent Jr. I think he's a good starter. I really like Gary Trent Jr. I'm going to put good role player for Lonnie Walker and PJ Washington, or PJ can get average starter. Trae Young is going to go into that all-star category for me. Where is that? Or All-NBA. I'm going to put him in All-NBA. It's not the elite tier, but I think it's All-NBA. So those are just the guys who I think could make an All-NBA team. So you know what? Devin Booker's going to go there too. Devin Booker's going to go on All-NBA. All right, guys. So we still have a lot of players to go. This is a lot of fun for me. I'm going to have DeAndre Ayton go into borderline all-star. I just have to put him there and then scroll up. And if you guys are wondering why I'm doing that, just to get him an all-star or borderline all-star, I have to scroll up because I couldn't do it. Luka Doncic is going to be going into that all-NBA category. Yes, Luka. I think he is the best player that we have went through so far. Now, are guys still Steph, AD, yeah, those guys are all here too. All right, Robert Williams, I think, is an average starter. This season, I think he's going to turn into a good starter. Rui Hachimura, I think, is a average starter as well. Duncan Robinson, same thing. Kendrick Nunn, good role player. Terrence Mann, good role player. Yeah, good role player. Zion Williamson's going into the All-NBA category, and he's only entering his third season, which is kind of absurd, but it's Zion, so I think he belongs there. I'm going to put RJ in borderline all-star. That's just where I think RJ Barrett is going to end up this year, All right, let me just put him here for now. He's going to be going into borderline all-star right now because that's kind of where I think he's going to be next season. Cam Reddish, I think he's an average role player. Ja Morant is going into borderline all-star for me right now. Borderline all-star. Deandre Hunter is going into good starter. I'm going to put Dante DiVincenzo in average starter. Kobe White is going to go into average starter for me. Brandon Clark, I think, is a good role player. Darius Garland is going to go into good starter for me. Keep saying that. Nikhil, I think I'm going to put Nikhil Alexander-Walker in good role player. Tyler Hero, for me right now, is going to go into that good role player spot. Keldon Johnson, I think, is a good starter. Kevin Porter Jr., I think, is a good starter. Because I think he's going to put up some really nice numbers next year. Not that the Rockets will contend or anything, but I think he's just going to develop as a player more. Luens Dort is going to be going into, I think I'm going to put Lou Dort into good starter. I like Lou Dort a lot, and he just came off a career year, I believe. Talen Horton-Tucker is going to be going into good role player. Are there any guys here I could move to average? I think Hernan Gomez could go to average role player. And then I think that maybe we just slide Horton-Tucker to average role player down. I think we'll do that. Cameron Johnson, I think, is a good role player. Eric Pascal, I think, is an average role player. Or he could be a good role player. Either one. Jordan Poole, good role player. I think that's going to improve soon, like this season. Naz Reid, that spot. Thibault, I want to put him almost at the end of the bench. I mean, I feel like nowadays you kind of have to be able to shoot, and Matisse Thibault can't really do that. But he's a really solid defender. He made an all defensive team this year, so he's going to go into average role player. Anthony Edwards is going to be in good starter for me right now. But I think that's going to change. I think he'll go up to borderline all-star this year. Here's LaMelo Ball. He's going into all-star right now, or borderline all-star. Don't know where I want to put LaMelo Ball right now. I'm going to put him in borderline. John Morant's in borderline. I think LaMelo should be. James Wiseman, kind of an average role player right now. Killian Hayes, same thing. Don't want me to put him there. Obi Toppin, same thing. Tyrese Halliburton is going to go into good starter. He is a very good scorer. Patrick Williams, I think, is going to go into average role player right now. Precious Achiuwa. I don't really want to put him at end of the bench because I don't think he should be. But I don't know about average role player. Cole Anthony, I think, is going to go into good role player. Dale Maladon, I think, is going to be an average role player. Tyrese Maxey, good role player. Sadiq Bey, good role player or good. I'm going to say he had a good season. I think he made an all-rookie team too. He's going to go to good starter for me right now. Might seem a little high, but that might seem high. But I'm okay with it. Average role player for Kyra Lewis because I just don't think he should be at the end of the bench. Emmanuel quickly is going to be going into average starter. Pokusevski, Alex Pokusevski is going into good role player or average role player. He's going to go to average right now, but I think he'll move up to good role player next year. Same with Jayshawn Tate, though, but he's going in good role player. Josh Giddey, he hasn't played a minute in the NBA yet, so I'm just going to say average role player right now. Evan Mobley. How many more of these do we got? We still got a good amount to go. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me here. Evan Mobley is going into, right now, I'm going to put the rookies, I guess, good role player, or maybe average starter right now. LaMarcus Aldridge, I think, is an average role player right now. Rudy Gay, same thing. Rajon Rondo, same thing. Which might seem a little low, but yes, I do think that's where he should be. Kyle Lowry is going to be going into borderline all-star for me. I think that was a really good pickup for the Heat. But when he is 30 8 years old. He's going to be making $30 million. So I'm not sure about that. Paul Millsap's going to go into average role player. Yeah. Kevin Durant, All-NBA. Just got to put him here for now and move him up. Because that's how mine works for some reason, like my tier lists. He is definitely an all-star, but he is an all-NBA player in my opinion. Al Horford is going into good role player for me. Mike Conley is going 2 above. I think he's going to go into borderline all-star. He is definitely a good starter, but I think he's going to go to borderline all-star. And then you got John Morant there too, so both former Grizzlies point guards. Well, one is currently now, being John Morant. Jeff Green, average role player. Thad Young, I think, is a good role player. I like Thad Young. Same thing with Derrick Rose. Or Derrick Rose, I'm going to put into good starter, average starter, actually. This is the average starter list. Then we have, then there's a good starter. I'm going to put Derrick Rose in good starter. Russ is going to be going into all-star. Yes, Russell Westbrook, all-star. There we go. Kevin Love, good role player at this point, I think, or average starter. I think he'll go to average starter. Danilo Gallinari, I'm going to put in an average starter, even though he does come off the bench, but he has started most of his career. Eric Gordon, I'm going to put into average starter or good starter, probably average starter. Brooke Lopez is going to be going into good starter for me. Or average. He's going to go to average. Right next to his buddy Dante. His teammate Dante DiVincenzo. Okay. Javel Mcgee. I think he's an average role player right now. Serge Ibaka, good role player. Nick Batum, I think average role player. Same with George Hill. Not me to put him at the end of the bench. DeAndre Jordan. He'll probably start for the Lakers, but I'm not going to put him at the end of the bench. Goran Dragic, correct. Goran Dragic is going to go into good starter. He is pretty old too, so still doing good. Blake Griffin, good role player. James Harden's going to go up to All-NBA. James Harden, go to All-NBA. Did not mean to put him here, guys. Oh, that's Dylan Brooks. James Harden, All-NBA. Stephen Curry, the same exact thing. All-NBA. Yeah, sorry if this guy's takes a while to put them all the way back up at the top. This is a pretty fun tier list right now, guys. DeMar DeRozan is going to go into All-Star for me. I still think he's at that level where he can be an All-Star, and I know that it's stacked in the West to be an All-Star, but he didn't make it once with the Spurs. And after coming off, I believe he was an MVP candidate the year before he was with the Spurs in 2017-18. So I think he should be there. I think Jrue Holiday is borderline All-Star. Yeah, I'll put him at borderline. Patrick Beverley, good role player, average. I'm going to put him in average. Same with Danny Green. Same with Patty Mills. John Wall is going to go into, good starter. Or he could be borderline all-star. He put up good numbers last year, just didn't play a lot. So I'm going to keep him where he is right now, where I put him. Derrick Favors is, I think, an average role player. Boogie Cousins, maybe end of the bench right now. I think and I only feel that way because I think there's other guys who could play over him. I think Gordon Hayward is borderline all-star. Paul George, I'm going to put in the All-NBA category. I think he's going to be an MVP candidate. Mentioned that on my live stream, my most recent one. I think he's going to be an MVP candidate. All-NBA. I think he's going to be an All-NBA player next year, MVP candidate with Kawhi Leonard out. I think Eric Bledsoe is kind of just an average role player at this point. Same with Hassan Whiteside. Or Hassan could be end of the bench, but I don't think so. Kyrie is going to go to All-Star for me. Now, he could go in All-NBA, but I don't know. Kyrie could go into All-NBA. I'm going to keep him an All-Star right now. Enes Kanter. think he's an average role player. Tristan Thompson, same thing. I might put Hassan at the end of the bench right now. Jonas Valanciunas is going to be not an average role player, but good starter. Don't think he's at that all-star level, but I think that he is definitely a good starter. Definitely if John Wall's there. I know the different positions, but if John Wall's there, I think that's where he should be. We still have quite a few to go. Who did I just put there? Kemba Walker. Didn't mean to do that. Kemba Walker is going to go to borderline all-star for me. I think he's going to return to all-star form next year. Or that is all-star. He's going to go to borderline right now. It's that knee injury. These two Celtics, former Celtics, I should say. Klay Thompson has not played in a while, so I don't know if it's fair to put him in All-NBA. Where'd he go? Right here. I don't know if that's fair to put him in All-NBA, so I'm going to put him in All-Star right now. But I think he's a really good player. Good role player or good starter, I think, for Marcus Morris. One above average. Good starter. Kawhi Leonard's going into that All-NBA category. Just got to move him all the way up to All-NBA. So there you go, Kawhi. You're in that All-NBA category, my man. Can't wait to see you play again. Nick Vucevic. He is going to be going into the All-Star category. I like Vooch a lot, and he had a really good season. Kept his numbers good with Chicago. Good for Vooch. I think Tobias Harris. You know what, guys? Tobias is going to go in good starter for me. I know that might seem kind of shocking, but I'm not a big Tobias Harris fan. That's where he's going to go. Good role player for Reggie Jackson, but I'm going to actually bump him up into average starter. I mean, good starter maybe? You know what? Just because of how he came off the playoffs, I might keep him in good. You know what? No, he's going to go to average starter. Jimmy is going to go into All-Star or All-NBA. I think he's All-NBA worthy. Bojan Bogdanovic is going to go into, I mean, he's had good years back to back to back. But I think he's just going to go in good starter. But I mean, out of all these players in good starter, I think it's the best one could be between Valanciunas, Garland, John Collins, Lonzo, D'Lo, Isaac. I mean, there's a lot of them. Bojan Bogdanovic and Davis Bertans is going to go into good role player. Anthony Davis, All-NBA. His buddy LeBron, I'll just tell you guys, he'll be in All-NBA too. Bradley Beal. Where do I want to put Beal? I might put Beal in like... All-Star? He's not going to be in borderline. I'm just having that right now. Borderline is not where he is. All-Star, All-NBA. Someone had to score that ball in that Washington team besides Russell Westbrook. Bradley Beal is going to do that. Oh, this is so tough. I'm going to put him in All-Star. I know that might have seemed weird, but that's just kind of how I feel. But nevertheless, Bradley Beal is a really good player. Dame is going to go into that All-NBA category. I think he's that good. Just hasn't won a ring yet. I don't think he's going to in Portland. Terrence Ross might go into a good role player. I like him a lot. Davis Bertans is going to go down to average. Andre Drummond. I don't know about end of the bench, but I'm just going to put him there right now. I mean, I think he puts up kind of empty numbers, so that's where I have him. Harrison Barnes, I think, is a average starter. Evan Fournier, the same thing, or good starter for Fournier. Barnes might go into good starter, I think, but I'm going to keep Fournier an average starter. Jay Crowder is going to go into good role player. Draymond Green is going to be going into good starter. Chris Middleton. Yeah, like the whole NBA here. Chris Middleton is going to go to All-Star. Because I don't see him as All-NBA. Will Barton is I think, a average starter. Or a good one. I'm going to keep him an average. Nerlens Noel, good role player. I like Noel. CJ McCollum might not even be borderline all-star. I think I'm going to put him in good starter. Cody Zeller, good role player. Dennis Schroeder, I think he'll go into good starter. There we go. Like Tyrese is in good average starter, but I think he won't be there for a while. Olenek, good average role player. KCP, good role player maybe. I'm gonna put him in average role player. Mason Plumlee, I think, is a good role player. Otto Porter Jr., I think, is an average role player. Reggie Bullock, I think, is a good one. Robert Covington, I think, is a good one. Rudy Gobert, I think, is an all-star, if not borderline all-star. I'm trying to think, did he make the all-star game this year? I believe he did. Yes, he, Mitchell, and Conley made it. So they were the 1 seed. So I think they probably had to have a couple guys definitely there. Was that Robert Covington again? What did I just do? Okay, I'm not really sure what I just did. Who did I just move into? I think I just put someone into average role player here. You know what? I don't even know what I did. Tim Hardaway Jr. I think is going to be in a average starter kind of role, similar to Will Barton. I think Oladipo is okay. It's going to sound crazy, but I think he's borderline all-star, and I think it's because last year he showed signs of his not Houston Rockets self. Giannis is going to go into All-NBA. He showed signs of his Pacers self, putting up kind of similar numbers, a little bit less in the points department, but kind of everything else. I just feel like they were similar to his breakout season and then 2017 to 18, and then 2018-19 was the year he got hurt, but he was playing good before then. Before he got hurt. Seth Curry, I think, is definitely a good role player. Zach LaVine is going to go into the all-star category for me, someone who I was so happy to see make that all-star game. So yeah, he's going to go into all-star. Jordan Clarkson is going to be going into... He's going to go into good starter for me, even though he comes off the bench, because I think he could be such a good starter. That's why I have him where I have him. Gary Harris... I think he's going to be at the end of the bench. Spencer Dinwiddie, I think he's going to be going a good starter. That's just where I have him. Jeremy Grant is going to be going into borderline all-star, or, you know what? No, he's going to go to good starter. Joe Harris, good role player. Doug McDermott, same thing in my opinion. Aaron Gordon, I think, is an average role player. I think he got extremely overpaid by the Denver Nuggets. TJ Warren is going to be going into good starter. Bubble TJ Warren, probably all-NBA. Marcus Smart is going to be going into probably average starter for me, or good starter. I'll put him in good starter. I'm going to give Smart the benefit of the doubt there. Kyle Anderson is going to be going into good role player. Julius Randle, is that all-NBA or is it all-star? Because I feel like this all-NBA, this all-NBA tier is more elite players. Like, this is more elite, if that makes sense to you guys. I could title this elite, to be honest with you. So I want to put Randall in the all-star section, but it's not like he couldn't make an all-NBA team. That's just kind of how I feel. Andrew Wiggins is going to be going into, I think, a good starter. I liked what I saw from him this year, especially on the defensive end. I'm going to put Marcus Smart in an average starter, actually. And Joel Embiid, he's going to find himself in the elite or all-NBA category because, like I said, it's not like these guys in all-star could not make an all-NBA team. I mean, I kind of feel like every single one of these guys in this all-star category could contend for an all-NBA team. Maybe not DeMar or Michael Porter Jr., but I think everyone else could. So for that reason, they're going to be in the all-NBA team, our all-star category, and the all-NBA tier is kind of just like a elite tier. Probably should have mentioned that at the beginning of the video. That's my bad. I'm going to put Sarge, an average role player. Capella, he is going to go for me either borderline all-star or good starter. I'm going to put him in good starter. This good starter tier is about 4 rows in, starting its 5th row. Bogdan Bogdanovic, I think, is kind of an average role player. Here's a good one. If I put these guys here, like Covington, I'm going to put Covington, though, an average, but like Curry, Harris, McDermott, Anderson, I'm going to definitely put Bogey Bogdanovic there. Yusef Nurkic. He is going to find himself right now an average starter. That's where I have him. Jokic. And this is their status right now, in my opinion. Like, this is how I'm ranking them right now. If he can move his way up. Oh no, where did I just put Jokic? There he is, okay. Jokic, All-NBA. Porzingis. Do I want to put him in borderline All-Star? Because he definitely didn't play like one in the playoffs, in my opinion. So I'm going to put him just in good starter. Joe Ingles. He is going to go into good role player for me. I like Ingles a lot. Definitely the same for TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell, I think, is a really underrated player. We got LeBron. He's going into that All-NBA tier, but kind of elite tier, if you ask me. The King, LeBron James, going up one more. There we go. And then Carmelo, kind of an average role player at this point, or a good one. I'm going to put him in good one, just for Carmelo. I think Dwight's an average role player right now. Iguodala, I think, is kind of like, I don't think he'll be at the end of the bench, but that's just where I'm going to put him. We have Jaylen Suggs. He is going to find himself, I think he's going to have a good year. He's going to find himself right now on good role player, just because he hasn't played in the NBA yet. Scotty Barnes is going to be the same thing. I think I'll put Scotty Barnes in good role player. This man I am super, super, super high on. Jalen Green. I'm going to put him into above average starter, good starter. He hasn't played in the NBA yet, like a minute in the NBA, but I'm just going to put him there. And then Scotty Barnes to be a good role player right now, I think. And Jalen Suggs, I guess. Jalen Suggs is going to go into average starter right now, although that can move up. He hasn't played in the NBA yet. This one's kind of tough to rank for me, Cade. Not that I don't think he'll be good, but I just don't know where to put him. So I'm going to put him, I guess, where I put Jalen Green. And I believe Evan Mobley was here. No, Evan Mobley's an average starter. Jalen Green and Cade are going to go into good starter. And just like that was like a lot of the NBA. There we go. There's the list. All NBA, you got All-Star. If you guys want to feel free to pause, you can do that. Is there anyone here that could move up to borderline All-Star? I don't think so. I think I'll leave that as is. I think my most questionable one was Kyrie instead of like elite or All-NBA, putting him in All-Star. But I think that's where he should be, if I'm being totally honest. Guys, there you have it. So thank you guys so much for watching this long video. We're at like 33 minutes. So if you haven't already subscribed, please make sure to do so. Please leave a like. And I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.